welcome to HistoricHole. My name is David, and this week I have Nathan with me.
What's up, guys?
And there he is, dancing to the music.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid beat.
Yeah, dude, that's my thing. That's my intro thing. They can hear it.
I hope so. It's just like it's just me looking stupid on the camera, just like, why am I doing the Gangnam Style like to nothing?
Yeah, I was saying, I meant they as in you can hear it. I'm sorry. I was talking to the audience. It's confusing.
Wait, so they cannot hear it? So then I am just stupid.
Yeah, so you can hear it. No, you can hear it.
Okay, I was like, what the fuck?
Because, like, sometimes they do that on podcasts where they don't hear the intro music.
Well,
Or, it's all the production value. It's just like they clip out a video of them just doing shit and they overlay all this bullshit.
I'm hoping that you keep it, or you could.
It'll be in there, don't worry.
Okay, I was about to say, or you could edit it out.
I'm not
just make
cutting you out.
Just make me look stupid. It's just like, oh, why is
you made yourself look stupid? It's on
Shut
video.
up.
I got you.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Got you in 4K.
Shit.
Get you canceled. All right.
I hope.
So, anyway, this week, usually, as always, when I bring on somebody new, I'm usually just talking shit and don't really have a topic in mind. But, sometimes one kind of naturally emerges from the conversation. So that can possibly happen tonight. So, a lot of the times, a lot of the people I meet are from the gym. I'm not going to say which gym because I'm not going to dox myself because that would be stupid.
I'll tell you this: it's in a gym somewhere close by.
Yeah, it's in a gym somewhere. It's in a gym.
Yeah, in a gym.
The all-time great Simpsons joke. If anybody understands that, fuck you.
If anybody,
I'm just kidding. You're on my team. You're on my team. I love you. Awesome, man. All right, what do you think? Are you like a lot of the younger generation where they like Family Guy over The Simpsons?
Yeah, I hate to be like that. It's just like when growing up, my dad, it's like he would watch more Family Guy than Simpsons. It's like I had so literally the only reason I even watched the Simpsons remotely, like back in the day before I started seeing all these skits like on TikTok and whatnot, was just because like I have an autistic older brother that literally is his whole shtick. Like, have you ever seen the movie Rain Man? Yeah, where he's like good with numbers. Like my brother, he's like excellent, like phenomenal with movies. It's just like he's watched like every movie that you could probably think of, like several times. Like knows the actors in them, like can tell you like the actors when they were born, when they died, if they died.
Get along with him.
It's like, and no, he's like severely diagnosed with, like, he is actually diagnosed with autism, but it's like high functioning. So like if you ever hear him speak, it sounds normal with a speech impediment, but as the more you go on with them, you could start telling. But like, yeah, he's like the Rain Man with movies. So like he would watch Simpsons and Family Guy, but I just never cared much for the Simpsons because I felt like the humor was just like, it didn't resonate with me enough compared to like how Family Guy was with like the stupid BS where it was just like you have the weird flashbacks with Peter and then like Stewie and Brian doing their stupid shit. And it's like, dude, that resonated more with me because I was just like young, dumb, full of whatever that people say nowadays.
That people say, those kids.
The cum.
Yeah, that. No, yeah. So, like, okay, so it's interesting, yeah, because like I think part of this too, and I've explored this some, and I think a lot of it comes down to is the kind of coming, up. Well, both shows exist, and so there's this kind of obviously gonna draw comparison, and I think Family Guy, I would say, is probably more stimulating. Because like sometimes like these can go to from like extreme violence, you know what I mean, to something like wild, in like a span of a few seconds, what I mean? And it's just like kind of super random, and part of that stimulation is kind of what keeps you kind of watching, right?
Oh yeah,
you're just like, oh my god, like they could just blow somebody's brains out at any moment, like it's real graphic and just kind of nihilistic.
Oh yeah,
comedically nihilistic in a way. If I would define it, not to sound like fucking snobbish about it, like I like Family Guy, like I like, there's jokes about it and I appreciate it, but I think like South Park's kind of criticism of it is kind of fair, where it does feel kind of a by the numbers sort of assembly when it comes to their scripting of the jokes and some of that stuff, where it's like they kind of plug in popular celebrity name here and then cut to them in a random, you know what I mean? And so it's like all this in a very, I guess, formulaic. So here we go. My thing is, though, coming up in a time where there was just The Simpsons, you know what I mean? There's no Family Guy.
Yeah.
just The Simpsons is on, and this is the golden era of The Simpsons, which is considered, I think, generally from fans, seasons 3 through 8. I want to say, it varies. Some people include earlier and later seasons in that count, but I think that's the meat of it.
Mm-hmm.
Those seasons are some of just like the best sitcom, like satirical sitcom writing, because they're able to do stuff a lot of sitcoms couldn't then because it's a fucking cartoon.
Yeah.
And they were also too limited at the time by the censors, the FCC. Really, they like paved the way for all the things that Family Guy could do. Family Guy can get away with all the things that they could get away with because of The Simpsons. What The Simpsons was able to break open, because the things that they had to do to get jokes and stuff by the censors, they had to be a lot more subtle. They had to be a lot more clever about it, because they couldn't just be like, oh, now we cut to somebody doing like some crazy ass fucking, they had to be like, all right, well, we're going to slip in this line that like, you have to understand what the reference to this fucking, random thing is.
Yeah.
And then, but it's a really fucking fucked up joke, you know what I mean, at the end, and you're like, so The Simpsons like is riddled with that shit. And it's some of the best, not to rant about it, but like that golden era of Simpsons is some of the best fucking because they're playing off of the tropes, all of the sitcom tropes, you know what I mean? They're just turning everything on its head, and they're just, the writers of that fucking show were all like fucking Harvard snobs and fucking, pretentious nerds. So it's like, that's like, yeah, they're all just having fun with it. And it's, to me, really, yeah, like kind of set up what Family Guy kind of takes some of the formulas that the Simpsons had laid the groundwork for there. But, don't get me wrong, like, Family Guy obviously is good in its own right, so I'm not trying to take anything away from Family Guy, but
yeah, it's its own shtick. I mean,
try to get the comparison. I think it's interesting to hear though from other people though, like especially younger people seem to prefer Family Guy because of the extremeness and the edginess of the humor is much more than The Simpsons. Simpsons has, at the end of the day, has a heart and it has a soul to it, and it doesn't go so far into that comedic nihilism where it's just everything's just a fucking nothing serious. You know what I mean? It's just like at the end of the day, like with them, it's like you could just have the whole family just burn down. It's like it's funny. Like
and that's why I like Family Guy, because Simpsons, it's like a little bit more. What would you say? Like subtle, maybe not necessarily subtle, but it's like more.
I don't know about anymore, but like if we're gonna compare, like say Golden Era Family Guy, Golden Era Simpsons, you know what I mean? They're best. Compare them at their best, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if we compare them now, like I don't even know what the fucking Simpsons is now.
Yeah, I know.
Like it just keeps going.
It's
just like, I don't defend that at all. You know what I mean? I think it's just run its course.
Well, same with Family Guy. It's just like I don't even know what goes on anymore with Family Guy. Like,
is it still going too?
Yeah, it's still going.
Oh my god!
I remember hearing something where it was gonna stop because they just ran out of ideas. But no, apparently I'm hearing now that they're going and going. I'm like, what the hell are they even talking about anymore? What?
I think maybe just because animation's so easy to do. You know what I mean? These brands are so popular that it's just like it makes sense to just kind of keep them going. I don't know.
Well, think about it like this, right? On the topic
South
of
Park's
anime,
almost the same way, but I wouldn't say that they've run their course. Like they seem to keep things relatively fresh. I don't know. It's hard to say. They're up and down for me.
Well, I think South Park manages to do it very well as far as like freshness is concerned, because there's always problems like that just pop up anywhere. Like you see with the amount of information that we have nowadays, like you could just see shit on TikTok, like Instagram. Even some dude randomly doing a troll comment will probably give you more information than what you see out in the streets, right? So, with just all that information, it's just like in news that happens, like South Park will just be there to make fun of it and make fun of it hard. That's why I love like just the outrageousness that comes from South Park. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, they're really good at, they keep things calm. And that's also, some people would say, like they have some of their ideas of when they're being kind of original and not playing off of pop culture. Some people prefer some of that more, and I think they were actually, I don't know, but they are good culture commentators. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, I do defend them, and I do like their humor. Like Basketball. You've seen their movies, right? You've seen Orgasmo.
I've seen bits. It's like the. Oh my god! I just had it. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty solid. That was when they were actually doing like physical acting. Like they tried their hand at like movies, and I mean they're good movies, but like again, their humor is so kind of extreme and and subversive and edgy that it's like, it's something that's just hard to do with real people, you know what I mean, for it to really work. And so don't get me wrong, like I think I enjoy their movies. Like Orgasmo is like, I think is a fucking hilarious concept, but it's hard, you know what I mean, it's hard to get it made, right?
Yeah.
The premise, it's like a Mormon becomes a porn star that then really becomes like a crime fighter, like, it's like it's how are you going to get this made?
Yeah.
Who's going to produce this? Who's going to fund this movie, right? So, but this fucking hilarious premise, like at the core of it, is the execution great? I don't know if it's great, but you know what I mean? I fucking laugh. I love some of the bits in the movie. So I'll defend those guys. I think they're good comedians.
Well, you kind of like it in the way of how like people love cult classics, or why they're called cult classics, is because it's one of those movies where it's like not a lot of people have heard of, but it's just like if you're willing to defend, even like, if they had like bad budget, or like not bad budget but low budget, and just like kind of poor quality, but something about it just stuck with you. It's like that's why it kind of becomes a cult classic, is because like everybody else didn't like it, but it builds such a weird following.
So that's why like there's certain movies that I really love, and that's why I have like posters of them around here.
Yeah.
Like, obviously Tropic Thunder is a classic, but Empire Strikes Back, love that. This is my favorite Star Wars movie. Blade Runner, phenomenal. Ridley Scott movie.
It's like I've seen Prometheus, I've seen The Thing, but the thing is like I barely remember like these movies.
Is amazing. It's my favorite.
Dude,
one of my favorites.
It's like for some reason I just don't remember
John
it. It's
Carpenter.
like I've watched it, I just don't remember it.
That's really crazy, because I feel like everyone that's watched The Thing has been like, dude, that movie left a fucking impression on me. Like everyone tells me like it changed their life.
Dude,
I'm serious.
Me and my roommate, we talk.
So are you sure you actually watched it?
No, dude. All right, no. I know you say that, but in like all seriousness, it's wild to me. Like my mind, right? Where there's things that I've seen, done, watched, whatever, but then for some reason, like I just don't retain it anymore. It's almost like when new information like gets in my head, it's almost like shit just gets pushed out. When it's like our mind doesn't work like that. We remember everything, even if it gets put into the back, like farthest recesses of our mind. We just don't lose knowledge, right?
Yeah.
But then for me, it's like ever since like I've been off Adderall, when I used to take it as a kid for like school purposes, because I would just be hyperactive all the time. Like I would think I was diagnosed with like ADD. I think for
I
real.
was diagnosed with ADD.
Yeah. So growing up, I took Adderall throughout school, like pretty huge doses. Like I started out at 10 milligrams, went to 20 milligrams, 30 milligrams, 40 milligrams. And it's like I finally cut that off, but it's like during that time, I could see something like once, like a math equation or some sciencey or historic, and be like, yeah, I can remember that like a month from now. It's like you show me like a movie right now or like a historic event right now, talk about it, I will forget that bitch in like a month. And it's like, did we talk about that? It's like I just forget shit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I understand. I'm just saying, like, a lot of the movies, just like if you were actually watching the movie, you know what I mean? Because sometimes people put on a movie and then they're on their phone, you know what I mean? Like
that's
that,
my buddy.
I don't consider that watching a movie, but like I showed this, so I love The Thing, one of my favorite movies. I showed this to a group of friends back in high school. I think this was maybe my junior year. I don't know what the fuck was it? I think it was my junior year. Because I don't know, maybe it was my sophomore year. I can't remember, because there's this weird situation. I don't know. I'm not going to go into that, but it was high school. You know what I mean? So we're all at this girl's house, a bunch of dudes at a girl's house. Obviously, all the guys like the girl.
Well, yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Anyway, we're all watching The Thing, and I bring over The Thing because I'm like, well, I'm going to kill any romantic mood we got going up.
Hell yeah.
And
cuck them all.
I'm serious. This movie, like, people were like, dude, this movie fucked me up. They were like, because there's like, there's a scene where it's just like The Thing. Do you know the premise of The Thing?
Isn't it like based in like you're like an Antarctic, like
it's Antarctica.
like and it's like some monstrous alien creature or whatever.
It's an alien that mimics, like it copies things exactly.
Yeah, because didn't they do a remake? Because I feel
they
like
did a remake in 2011 that wasn't very good.
Yeah,
wasn't very good. But the original one, like, there's a scene where when you like the first scene where like it really gets going, like is like so intense, like just with the process, because it's all like practical effects. Like back then they used a lot of practical, like just so like it all looks very fucking real. You know what I mean? It's all these are all models and things that puppets and shit that they got going, and it all looks fucking very convincing and so people were just like I've shown this to people. Like, this is horrifying because this involves like the first scene where it goes off is they have the dogs. They're like huskies, you know, because Antarctica. Yeah, but the dog shows up at the camp at the beginning of the movie, and that spoiler alert, it's a thing, and they put it in the pen with the other dogs, and it starts to assimilate the other dogs. And when it's doing that, it starts like kind of like attacking them and starts like, you know, turning into the alien sort of like being that or whatever it is, and you start to see all that shit, and it's like super fucking intense and graphic, and you know these dogs are like getting all like killed and shit. So it's like a really kind of like horrifying scene, and yeah, that leaves an impression on a lot of people, and so that's why I was like curious that you actually haven't seen that. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. It's like for some reason, like the stuff that you're saying, like I feel like I remember the Huskies and like the stuff, but at the same time, it's like, bro, like. Why do I not remember that?
Yeah.
You know, but that's another, like I said, it's so weird. Like, especially, for some reason, I can remember, like, some of the animes or, like, mangas that I've read, but it's just like, hey, I've seen a bunch. Like, I just don't remember shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, sometimes it's like that where it's like, you know, you're just, you know, you're tuned, like, whatever your attention is attuned to at the time, you know? Because, yeah, you know, that's usually because I like to watch movies, you know what I mean? Let's sit down and, like, that's because, like, again, like, I'm watching a movie in all these different ways, you know what I mean? Like, on this critical level, I'm also trying to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to have fun. Like, I'm not just, like, trying to be like, oh, this has to be fucking academic exercise of, like, who's doing the best writing, you know what I mean? Because nobody's fucking perfect. No movie's going to be perfect writing, but there's a reason why I love movies like Goodfellas or like The Dark Knight is because there's a tightness to the scripting and the characterization throughout the movie, and the flow. In particular, Scorsese has this knack for flow. And everything, like, it just don't feel bored at any point during Goodfellas. I feel like I'm learning. I'm always like getting like, you know, new information, you know, and about his life, and he's explaining things, and as things are going, you know what I mean? It's like as he's explaining, you know, things are happening, the story's moving. He's giving you enough information. He's and not over explaining. You know what I mean? It's like giving you enough information to go off of to enjoy the events that you're seeing play out, and so. Then you have like, you know, the Coen brothers who write like No Country for Old Men, where it's like supported part of it's a fucking great movie, and
I've only seen bits and pieces of that because my brother watched it.
It's a phenomenal movie, but like the thing is, what's so great about one of the things I find great about it is the fact that it's based on a novel by Cormac McCarthy, and Cormac McCarthy's novel. The Coen brothers basically like read this and like almost like the way they take what's on the page and put it on the screen, like is almost like verbatim, like, and that so people sometimes complain about that when a movie's like too faithful or not faithful enough to the source material, right? Some people will complain about that, but I don't think in this case it's a bad thing. You know, the fact that they're like so faithful and the fact that they take it like so seriously is like really impressive.
Yeah.
On its own, and that's on top of the fact that the story itself is really good, and just like the acting, they get fucking like Javier Bardem to play the fucking like kind of one of the main villain of the story basically, and yeah, everybody's great. Tommy Lee Jones is in it; he's fucking phenomenal performance. Just, you know, Josh Brolin is in it. You know, he's Josh Brolin, you know what I mean?
Well, you say that, but then it's like right in my mind, I'm like, I've heard the name, but then it's like I don't remember the face.
He's
like,
Thanos,
bro. Oh my god. See that? All right, that's another problem I have too. Is like I am horrible with actors, except like for like a select few. Like I'm just because it's like it goes back to my whole thing of like not being. Well, I didn't even say it to begin with, but I'm just not good with like names with people. Like, you know how when you introduce yourself to people, it's like how you bring up Josh Brolin or whatever his name, and it's like I didn't know who he was till you said Thanos. Well, it's like, you know, if someone introduced me to somebody and it's or like I meet somebody to see their name and it's like, but then you never
know
see
him by one name,
yeah.
Right? You know,
like
by
when you
Thanos.
said like when we were talking earlier or whatever, like before the podcast, you said like one of our people like Eli, whatever, one of our good gym buddies, you know, I'm like Eli, and then you're like. That's where I started like do these characteristics. Yeah. I'm like, oh shit. So then when people say like actors, I'm like,
don't. It's okay. Like, but it's, you know, he's a fucking great actor. There's a reason why he got cast as Thanos.
Yeah,
because he's a fucking phenomenal actor.
Like,
great presence, great screen presence. So yeah, you know, that's so that's what I'm saying. Like it's just a movie where you have everybody on top at their top game. Because Javier Bardem, I don't know that he's necessarily. I mean, he was in a few movies at that point. He was in Collateral, I think, and he was good in that. I'm pretty sure he's in it. And so like you know like these are established people all involved in the movie, and they're all putting in a game effort. And the Coen brothers, I mean, they're the fucking Coen brothers. So they made The Big Lebowski. They made like Oh Brother Where Art Thou. They've made tons of fucking movies that are just, you know, have stood the test of time. They're just really well written. Again, they take their time. There's obviously care and effort put into their scripts and their writing. So it's like they make good movies. Now, some people don't like their fucking movies. They think they're boring, you know, and that's the thing. Like, it just depends on your preferences. I don't criticize. Like, if you just like action movies, dude, like that's great. Like, there's all sorts of good action movies out there, but like there's also a ton of bad action movies that just are by the numbers and to me just boring because like I, you know, if I feel like I've seen this movie before, then I feel like I'm kind of wasting my time, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's cool to see a different take on the same thing. I'm not all against that, you know what I mean? But sometimes you gotta give me something, you know what I mean? Something a little bit original, maybe new, for me to just think about or like sink my teeth into, you know what I mean? Doesn't have to be anything crazy, but you know, that's my biggest issue with a lot of modern action movies. It just doesn't feel like they really do that. They don't capture me like that.
What's that new movie coming out or whatever? I think it's already out with Jason Statham or whatever, where he's like some old farmhand or whatever, but then something happens and he gotta like do some action shit. It's like for me, like I've seen a lot of Jason Statham movies, like Crank 2, I'll Transporter.
I'm a simple farmhand,
dude. I love Jason Statham. Yeah, I'm gonna kick your ass. Or no, I don't even sound like Jason Statham. No, I can't do that.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Dude, you actually, when you get your low voice, you actually got it good, dude. You know, but like he made some good action movies. Like Crank was a little out there because it's just like, dude, you've played like these serious roles and you're just like this crackhead. Just like I need something where I'll fucking die.
I mean, that's kind of the Crank. I feel like is just the excess. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's just an exercise in excess.
Yeah.
And we're just like, it's not great, but you know, hey, Crank 2 is ridiculous. Like I don't know. Did you know they made the fucking sequel to it?
Yeah, Crank 2? Yeah. It's like
that he survives falling out of the fucking helicopter.
That's why I appreciate the first Crank, because it was just like the premise was interesting where it's like, yeah, you're injected with this lethal substance and you die if you don't kill or like do something.
Dwight Yoakam is his fucking doctor.
Or dude, it's like I only remember
country singer. It's like random as shit. And he's just like talking to him on the phone. It's like, yeah, you got that poison in your blood. You're going to die in like 24 hours or whatever.
Yeah. And then like, what is it?
Or was it 2 hours? What it
was like, no, like every, it was like
some adrenaline to go up or you're, fuck. It's not his heart because the heart's in the second one.
No, he needed like something to like, basically, it's like adrenaline or something like that, where it's like he has to keep like such high, like stressful levels, stuff like that. That's why he's like always doing some like energetic bullshit or like taking in caffeine, whatever, so he gets like shit pumping or whatever.
But he gets a fake heart in the second one, and that's what he has. Like that's the time constraint in the second one. I think is the heart.
Well, the first one had a time constraint because he had to do shit in order to keep going.
But that's what I was trying to remember though. It's like I felt like it was something. It was what was his adrenaline level? And he's able to somehow track it. Right? Like he knows he's like getting low. I can't remember the fucking movie. God damn it. Anyway, I need to go watch Crank again.
But it's like, as far as action movies are concerned, it's like, you know, stuff with Jason Statham. Now, I'm not going to say like Fast and Furious. Like, nah, that kind of like lost its luster to me where it got super stupid. But, you know, when it was like the first three original.
You don't care about family.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
He doesn't care about family.
But like the first 3 movies were pretty good. It was just like I stopped watching it after Tokyo Drift because I was like, all right, done. It's like I get it. But then you're like Fast 5, Fast 7, 8, 10, 10 Part 2, and it's like family.
Hot take right now is Tokyo Drift is like the only actual like if I'm talking about like a movie script, like writing a movie script standpoint, like we don't take into account any of the other I don't know if we take into account any of the other movies. We don't need to. Tokyo Drift is very much his own standalone.
Yeah,
that's why I like it, and to me it's my favorite one out of the entire series.
Yeah, this
is my hot take on it, is that it's the best one in terms of we're talking about from a script writing standpoint. Like it's just gets kicked out of school for driving, being a fucking delinquent because his parents are divorced and because his dad moved across the world, and so he's acting out, and then he has to go live with his dad in a new place. Oh, I gotta learn a new fucking way of driving. Oh shit, this is crazy. And so then he has to kind of learn the ropes, you know what I mean? And then, again, you're kind of playing off of some pretty typical, fish out of water sort of stuff here. You know what I mean? This is nothing like crazy original, but if we're talking from like a screenwriting standpoint, it's like,
it was a good movie.
Look at the other movies. Like, those are just, shit's just fucking happening. Like, there's just fucking shit blowing up. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Like, we're talking about, like, at least in this movie, there's a clear flow of events, a characterization. This kid learns something about himself, and then he realizes, oh shit, and he brushes up against some gangsters. You get the underworld involved. You get that darkness involved there. And they also had a bunch of, this is also what I like about it. I have Sonny Chiba, who's in Kill Bill, and he was... And so he played Hattori Hanzo in Kill Bill, who's the guy that the bride goes to get the sword from. He makes her the sword that she.
Okay. I was like, what? It's been a while since I've seen Kill Bill.
Yeah, I mean, me too. So it took me a minute to remember exactly who he was. But so that's right, and he's a fucking famous actor in Japan. Famous Japanese actor, but not obviously not super well known in the U.S. to Western audiences, right? Yeah. But Tokyo Drift, he plays like the main crime boss, but he's like has this like an honorable ending because he wins the race. Lucas, whatever his name is, wins the race at the end and beats his son. The crime boss's son and the guy, but he's honorable about it. It's not like he fucking shoots him or something. He's like, you fucking lost. It's like, but that's kind of he like. So that's why he plays a good kind of interesting character in the movie. Not like there's like not super deep characterization there, but hey, they don't make him a fucking asshole at least.
Like, have you seen any of the other Fast movies, like 10, whatever? Just to like briefly discuss it, because like it's okay if you haven't, because I have to explain why it was just so shit to me.
Like I don't even know, man. Like, because they all start to blend together after a certain point. I saw the one where Dom turns on family. I have to turn on my family to save my family.
Yeah, that was like what the part one, and like I watched the part two. I think it was the part two of it. But like I went to my buddy's apartment, and we like a couple other friends joined in, and one of our chick friends like really loves the Fast series.
Try to just get a little like more,
yeah. Like one of the chick friends in the group like really loves the Fast series. I can't explain like her fascination with it. I just know she likes it. So we went to my buddy's house or apartment to go watch it in like a central location, and he also has like good stereos, the system, like nice TV, everything. So that's why we went there to watch it.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I'm like, dude, me and my buddy, we were making fun of it the whole time because we're like, what the fuck is this shit? It's like you could not go family. 3 sentences, or not even 3 sentences. You couldn't go more than 10 words without family being put into it. So we're the whole time through the movie, we're just geeking. And then like you see all these like wild ass action stunts where it's like, that's why I appreciate Tokyo Drift, because it's like
more grounded. It's so grounded, and that's why I like it too. It's like it feels. They want to tell a story. It's not about spectacle or action. And the action and the driving in it is actually pretty entertaining. And it's not, you know what I mean? It's a good balance of both.
Yes.
It's just the new ones. They're so far, like, we're here for just the big explosions. We don't fucking we these family explosions.
Well, there's a part where Vin Diesel, he's like, he's got his kid in the seat, and he's like, do you trust me or whatever, because we're family, or some shit like that. And he fucking like, because he's getting surrounded like both sides, like on a dam, like full of like explosive vehicles, and it's like, and they're just like coming straight for him, and then he's like, trust me because we're family, and he just and then just like off the dam spins it around, like grapple hooks up, and just like, hold on. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's just, it's so out there at this point. Like, it's almost like a cartoon, It's just like, and there's no stakes, because nobody's gonna fucking die. You know what I mean? They're not gonna kill off fucking Vin Diesel. Like, this is his only fucking movie that he makes money. I wish they would make more fucking Riddick movies, because I fucking love Pitch Black and
Those were
Chronicles
so
of Riddick.
good.
And I loved Chronicles of Riddick. I'm a big defender of the movie. I don't necessarily know about the director's cut. I've seen this recently, and I was not really impressed with what was added to the movie. So, but going by the theatrical release that I saw in theaters when it came out back in 2004, when I was like fucking 14 years old, and I was like a big fan of Vin Diesel at the time. And dude, the fucking movie landed for me as a 13-year-old, and it's to this day, like, and again, this director's cut is adding stuff that I'm like not about. I don't know what's going on there. David Toohey, I try and defend you, but like, don't add that shit.
Oh yeah.
It just extends it. You know what I mean? It's just like we what you did was good. Like what you had there was, and some movies do this. Like Apocalypse Now. Like I really I loved Apocalypse Now. Apocalypse Now Redux is where it's Francis Ford Coppola made this movie, and he added like fucking hour more. The movie's already like an hour and a half long, and he adds like another hour to it. And it's just like, fuck, man. Like this is, and don't get me wrong, like it's a take on Heart of Darkness. So it's like part of that is that journey into madness, and a 3.5 hour fucking movie about Vietnam is gonna make me feel like I'm going fucking insane. Mission accomplished there. But to me, it's not an enjoyable movie experience. But the original Apocalypse Now actually is like that is good. Like all the best parts of it are there. Yeah. So. And to me, I think that's that. Yeah, it's good. I would watch that or recommend that. I mean, it's super fucking depressing, but it's it's a classic. It's fucking
it tells you the horrors of like war, stuff like that.
And it's got great it's Florence Fishburne's in it, like real young.
See, like I've heard the name, but it's like who the hell?
It's Morpheus from The Matrix. Yeah, I can usually get you get the connection, find you something that you'll figure out.
That's what I need is that connection.
I can usually get you something. Get you a name. Give me a name. Give me a name. I need a name.
Well, no. Justice. God. No, like, have you actually seen like the new Batman movie with God, what's his name? It's
Pattinson.
Like,
Robert.
Like that was actually a really good movie because I saw it in theaters. I was like, it. I don't know how many times like you can actually make a new start of like a Batman. I know there's like, in the comics and whatnot, like you have the different takes on like the different Batman styles, just like how you do Joker, where you got like Chaos Clown, the Anarchy Clown, stuff like that. But it's like, how many times like in a movie can you redo an intro for like a superhero before it gets boring? Where like so far I've appreciated all the different beginnings of like the Batman movies with like Christian Bale, was his name Robinson or like
Ben Affleck,
but who's the new one again?
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson, and then fucking oh my God, what's his name? The old one,
Michael Keaton.
But who's
And there's Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer. Yeah, it's like those ones. It's like all of them did well, like nice and stuff like that, as far as like beginnings every time. So it's like you can't mistake what Batman started out as. It's like, all right, parents shot, Joker, clown, all right, cool, and then like, or different hot takes on like death, and it's like, I am justice, and it's like he just finds his way to bats every time,
Yeah. They can keep, it's a character, that DC's one of their best, and they keep milking it, and they keep, it works. Obviously, they keep making money. So they're going to keep doing it as long as it keeps making them money. But I don't know who I would say is my favorite. It's tough, right? Because it's like, it's almost like there's two characters you're assessing when you talk about Batman. You're talking about Bruce Wayne, and you're also talking about Batman. Now, I think it's fair to assess them as separate characters because Bruce Wayne, and you see him usually interacting in public, is not Batman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's not going to act as Batman. So, there's usually two different ways to play that. And so Pattinson's Bruce Wayne is kind of weird.
It is because it's more brutish. Yeah. And I'm like,
I kind of like his Batman. His Batman's kind of badass.
Well, like I like Christian Bale's Batman.
I also like Christian Bale's Batman.
But it's like
I think he's the best balance of both, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
He is because it's like at least with like the Bruce Wayne part, you're the billionaire playboy philanthropist. It's just like you have to put on this persona where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck you later. Anyway, yeah, you go over there and then let's like send them drinks that way.
Bale had a very arrogant air to him. He was good at doing that. Like,
Yeah.
he played into it. He leaned into it very much.
Got the dragon energy.
The Dark Knight, I think, was the best. I don't know. I think The Dark Knight is my favorite of those movies. I've talked to people that love The Dark Knight Rises more, and I say, but for me, it's at the end of the day, The Dark Knight is the best script. You know, everyone. I think it's some people think it's like cool to hate The Dark Knight now because it's kind of hailed as such a classic because of Heath Ledger's Joker.
Oh yeah.
So I think there's some of that now where it's kind of a rejection of, you know, the popular opinion, but. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's just like that was never a time when that was invalid. There's a reason why the movie was a fucking phenomenon. There's just nothing like that. Like, and maybe people have outdone that, or there's been things that have just been more stimulating or just more captivating than that performance-wise within those contexts. More recently, I don't know. Hard to say for me, but like Heath Ledger still makes an impression on me.
So, all right. That I was hoping we were going to get into that because it was something that I had a discussion with my buddies. Like we went to trivia night at like Wong's Tacos or whatever, and we were discussing it like in between one of the rounds where it's like you know like Jared Leto's Joker, right? Where it's like like does that shit. Well, all right, I know. When you think about it, it's like you want to pinch your forehead, and it's like
I get what he's trying to do, but it's just not. No.
Well, the reason is that's why the comics and animated series stuff does really well because that's where I brought up earlier, where it's like the different versions of Batman or like the different clown versions is because it's like they're different Batman universes or not universes, but it's like. Separate like timelines or whatever, however you want to put it, where it's like you got your Heath Ledger Joker, which is the Chaos Joker. The Jared Leto's like your gangsta Joker. It's like if you actually sit down and like look through like animated series or comic books, they do really well for their parts. But when you throw it into a live action, it's like, yeah, everybody loves Heath Ledger because like that chaos, that like, oh shit, what's he gonna do next? Or it's like, or how he plays off things exceptionally well, like when he blew up the hospital, like when he was like beating the thing, and it's like
that was apparently improvised.
Yeah, that was an improvised event because it did the explosions were supposed to go off when he did it, and
they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't.
So he improvised it, and then they went off, and he was like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah, and then he heard it. Like that was he did exceptionally well, and it's like Jared Leto, like he did a good gangster Joker, which is what it was supposed to be as far as that timeline. But the thing is like when you compare that to when Heath Ledger came out with his Joker, and you're like, comparison. Obviously, it's going to be a miserable Joker every time. Like Jared Leto's just not going to look bad. Like think about it with what is his name, Jack Nicholson or whoever, where
Jack
he did
Nicholson,
where he did the clown or not the clown Joker, but it was like I forgot what type of Joker it is because like the old Adam West Batman, that's clown Joker where it's like more clownish, cartoonish. But Jack Nicholson did it's a specific Joker type. He did exceptionally well, but he also did it for his like timeline, or as far as his time was it phenomenal.
And two, there's the style of the movie. This is Tim Burton, it's like everything's kind of there's a heightened kind of reality in those movies.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That where like in Nolan's Batman, like there's the purpose of this is to be grounded and realistic. What the premise of it is kind of like, what if Batman like was like as real as possible? Like, what would his villains really look like? So the take on it, the Scarecrow, right, is a psychologist.
Yeah, and
he's actually giving people drugs, and that's what causes their crazy, them to see all these wild things versus like in like maybe a rendition of it in otherwise like he actually is making crazy things or something. You know what I mean? Like actually versus them just being induced by psychosis, So there's multiple ways to interpret like how these characters, because like you look at like Mr. Freeze or like some of the
dude, I know.
The way these takes on those characters, they're fantastical in the heightened reality. So the Nolan's mission was like, how do I make this as fucking grounded as possible? And so he puts Joker within the context. He's like, okay, well, Batman. There's Batman, the good guy, and you got the villains, the mob, the bad guys. Well, where's the Joker standing at? What is the Joker a good guy? Is the Joker a bad guy? The Joker's not really either. The Joker's just fucking chaos.
Yeah, he's just insane.
Chaos personified. And this is such a brilliant take on the character because, it is kind of accomplishing a lot of what the character's kind of set up to do. It's supposed to be that ultimate foil to Batman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Batman is very much about order and justice.
Yes. And then you got chaos.
and bedlam. And so like, you
because
know,
even in
that's the Joker, you know, and so he's the perfect, opposite to him. So that's why it's set up so well, I think.
But anyway, going back to like the Joker thing though, where, you know, like even if you watch like the animated shows and stuff like that, there's like a part or one of the animated series where like Batman dies or whatever, and it's like the Joker, it's like, I kind of don't want to do crime anymore because my whole reason for doing crime or causing chaos was because it was fun being pursued by Batman and having the same old like, you know, like just crime fighting bullshit. And it's like, damn, that's interesting because it's like, so deep down you only played like the villain because you were just, for one, psychotic, but you obtain like the thrill that you were seeking, like, you know, from your mundane existence.
Well, you know, he kind of explains, you know, like at least Nolan's Joker kind of explains it, and it's like, I love the explanation where he's just like, you know, he's just like, I am just trying to show people how futile their attempts to control things actually are.
Oh,
you know what I mean? He wants to show people that, you know, your attempts to establish order, you know, is ultimately useless because chaos is the way, you know what I mean, the way of the world. And this is, don't get me wrong, like, it's, you know, the Joker's philosophy is, you know, that's why all these fucking, you know, edgy teenagers and stuff all like posting about the Joker, and they like love the Joker and all shit. But the reason part of that exists is because, you know, it's, and this is kind of the Zen shit, is like, you know, with like, you know, you order and chaos are like kind of one and the same, right? Like they're part of a cycle. Like you have points of order and you have points of chaos, and it's necessary for change, right? Like the Earth goes through cycles. Like the Earth's gone through cycles. It's gone through a chaotic, you know, primordial cycles. Then it's cooled down, and then now it's kind of established in order, you know, and you know, for nature to develop and, you know, species to come into being and like evolution to take place and all this shit. And so it's like, you know, you see there's like, and there's periods of chaos, and a fucking meteor hits the Earth, and then it fucking wipes out dinosaurs and all the living things that are in existence at that point. But then things slowly come back into order, and then nature kind of returns. So you know what I mean? There's
creationism.
It's right. So
6,000 years ago.
6,000 years ago. So, but you know, the point being is like, you know, but then you within your own personal life, you know what I mean? There's times of turbulence. There's times where there's a lot of change. You know what I mean? Like the end, you like moving to college or something. You know what I mean? Like that's a big change in your life, and that can be very chaotic and destabilizing. But you know, you eventually establish your routine in your new place, and you get going, and things happen. You know, things change, and that's just kind of part of it. And so, like, it's a cycle. They're both things are necessary. Chaos is necessary to facilitate change within yourself personally and in a widespread context. So that's the whole thing, though. Is like Joker's preaching just one side of that. You know what I mean? And Batman's preaching the other, you know what I mean? And they are kind of in and of themselves, like they're
valid points because
both the same, two sides of the same thing.
Yeah, because thinking about it from this perspective, it's just like, what would make you think that we would not be chaotic today if it wasn't for laws put in place? Like, think about like primitive days. It's like, I'm pretty sure they had like the few baseline laws, like when you look at religion and stuff like that, where you have like the 10 Commandments, stuff like that, as far as like laws, regulations, like order, like even like the Babylonian laws.
Well, that's what religion is. Religion is order. You know, that's a form of order.
But think if we didn't have like that form of religion or anything to kind of like set in stone, like, hey, if you do this shit, you know, we're gonna. It's
hard to think
have a punishment.
I don't think it's you know what I mean. I think it's just it's what happens. Is a natural progression of human socialization.
Or intelligence.
We have to establish some kind of order for things to work. And so we do it naturally. So that's why religion comes about. We have to fucking do something with our minds. So it's like we do that. We got to be like, all right, well, if we all believe this, then we'll all be safe. You know, strength in numbers. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. So it's like, you know, you get your group and your group ideology. You know, and that's how for civilizations, you know, survived for. You know, and perpetuated their cultures down through history, you know, and through their religions, and you know, not even Christianity. You know what I mean? You think about all the fucking religions and belief systems that you know were not the major. You know, like let's just like anything, like with music, with movies, like that's
not the norm.
All sorts of things that are popular and the biggest that everybody knows, right, and everybody listens to. But then there's the lesser known. Think about how many things in history, like ideology works the same way. There's tons of belief systems. There's tons of things that people develop to make their societies and their groups work, their tribes, even
establish order,
small to fucking city to empire size.
Imagine how chaotic this shit would be nowadays if we did not have laws. That's why it's like
you can't because honestly, that's what happens. We just do that. Like we're going to establish them. You know what I mean? Because of the way we are, we have to. We're just not chaos-driven beings. You know what I mean? We like comfort. We like to be chilling.
We obviously we want to be in like a natural state of like some form of stasis of just or relaxation. But then at the end,
we work to establish our order, kind of. We undergo chaos to establish our orders.
Because think about it. You have people that are just batshit insane nowadays, where it's just like, dude, imagine hundreds of those motherfuckers running around like no laws, just stabbing people 37 times in the chest.
Yeah, well, people still do that. You don't. There's people that are gonna fucking do that shit. Regardless of laws or what a piece of paper says.
But think about it from a perspective
for
of
the most part,
people
in the aggregate. For the most part, people want to make it work. That's the truth of the matter. And that's what I think is really stupid about a lot of politics and shit is like a lot of it seems to be driven by like, oh, well, like this entire group of people is just like totally, we can't like, you can't even do anything. It's like, dude, like just no, like stop framing things like that. You're just trying to scapegoat somebody and point a finger. You know what I mean? A lot of this shit comes down to is like, whatever the answer is, this usually is not going to be fucking easy. It's not going to be something like, oh, it's this person's fault. It's like, even whoever's fault it is, even if we do assign blame to anything, it doesn't necessarily solve the fucking problem.
No, not to its core, at least.
And that's I don't know how many work environments you've been in where that's like always like looking for who to fucking blame. It's just like stop. Like
I blame middle management.
It's like yeah, for sure, blame who you need to. But there's tons of work environments I've been in where it's like when there's something wrong, everyone's looking for who to get mad at. And it's just like, well, why are we all doing that? Because I'm usually the one that fucked it up. Why are we all doing that? Why are we all doing this when we could be solving the problem?
It's like, sorry I opened the firewall to our company portal, but
But seriously though, it's like, why are you're focusing on the wrong thing. You want to get mad at somebody, I understand. You want to take this out on somebody, I understand. But this actually not helpful at all in the scenario where it's like something's broken and needs to be fixed and or maybe it's an emergency. It's like, dude, like it's what I don't know. Not that I don't work in an environment like that, but I've been in environments like that before, and it's just like so inefficient. You know what I mean? It's just like
it's dumb. It's just like, especially that's why with the job that I have nowadays, it's nice because it is a very cushy job. I wouldn't say it's like cushy, but it's like a nice where it's chill. I get to learn what I've been trying to learn, where it's like cloud computing with cybersecurity, endpoint management, like stuff like that. But yeah, back when the days of doing corporate help desk and stuff like that in IT, it's just like, dude, it's it's like upper management pressures middle management to then shit on the folks below you, and it's just like you have to constantly deal with bullshit. When you think middle management's on your side, they're not. So then we're trying to we're blaming others, da. But dude, it's the dumbest shit, and it also has another point too to that. When you're like, we want to blame somebody else. Well, think about the other side of that. The other's perspective, so to speak, right? Where when you see like nowadays on like TikTok, Instagram, whatever, where people, it's like it almost seems like we're kind of rotating like blaming a bit, where it's like we're not blaming somebody in specifically, but it's like we're trying to be victimized. So it's like we almost want the blame on ourselves so we can play victims. That way people come to our rescue, stuff like that. Or like, try to like, have you not seen that where, like, oh, some dude didn't like the color of my hair, like, yeah, and it's just like, fuck him, and then fuck me.
I mean, well, like, just in general, victim culture, I mean, yeah, that's always going to be kind of popular. I feel like people just going to always kind of find reasons to be like, oh, the world doesn't understand me. It's just like, oh, God.
Dude,
what a travesty.
It's funny. All right, it's funny that you say it like you put it like that, because I used to, so growing up, I also, if it wasn't for my roommates, I probably would have like a severe case of like victim, whatever, like victimization or whatever the fucking term you want to call it, like
victim mentality.
Yeah, victim mentality.
Victimhood.
So he put it into like a very interesting perspective, right? So one of my buddies, he is bound by wheelchair, right? He has MS, so it's like a neural skeletal, like whatever disease that slowly eats away at him. So it's like he can
Multiple
walk.
sclerosis, right?
So no, yeah, multiple sclerosis. Yeah, you're right. So it's like he can no longer walk like he used to, but he can walk depending. Like he can like stand, maybe take a step, but it's like too much for him. Like he can't walk because of how it's destroying his nervous system.
Degenerative nerve disease. Yeah.
So think about it from that perspective, where you have a person in a wheelchair, where it is like, dude, your life is kind of shittish, but then we have like things to be able to accommodate you, like handicap accessible spots, whatever. Well, when at one point when I had like the victim mentality, stuff like that, where I'll give you an example, right? One of the issues that I kind of face nowadays is finding someone to like have a nice relationship with, because I'm at a point now in like this day and age where it's like I would like a relationship. However, it's very difficult for me to like talk to like a woman or female or whatever in that way, to be able to like strike it high and then like get the relationship out of it. So one of the things that I would do is like height, whatever. It's like my height doesn't start with 6, so it's like kill yourself kind of thing, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So it's
you
like
start kind of making excuses, or like start like being like, oh well, like this is like it's the world that has the problem. Like
the world doesn't understand, like whatever. But I've gotten to a point where it's like, dude, I really shouldn't, because you really have like some short kings out there that have like 8 out of 10s, or like some baddies, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with that kind of mentality, or like that victimish mentality, the way he kind of is like getting me to escape it a bit, where he started like funnily associating it with my buddy in the wheelchair, where he's just like, yeah, I bet you use your height as a handicap. It's just like, you go up to your buddy and it's like, hey man, I understand how it feels to be in that wheelchair. It's like I'm 5'7". Like you have it much better than I do, clearly, because you're in a wheelchair. That's why I can't get women, because I'm 5'7".
Yeah.
I wish I had your problem. I wish I was in a wheelchair. That's horrible, but no, it's he put it into that perspective, and it's like, yeah, I'm just a bitch, dude.
Yeah, no, there is something to like, don't get me wrong, like there is unfortunately, if you like, when it comes to like a lot of the online dating, because you can just basically in a lot of those apps just like filter people out by their fucking height. Like, like, Jesus Christ! Like I was like, Jesus, come on, give us a chance.
The short king uprising is coming.
So it's just like,
all you 6-footers, watch out.
I was like, that's bullshit. Like, but at least give people but it's just the comment. You know what I mean? It's just like what you see, like these sort of common trope is where like a lot of women, they're like, oh well, like 6 foot, 6 figures, 6 inch, or whatever.
Yeah, the 666.
Yeah, you're just like, Jesus Christ, like you know what I mean? There's like probably like fractions of percentages of people that are in any of those categories. But no, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like, but there's actually not a ton of people like that make over 6 figures. So.
No, it's, believe it or not,
depending on your age, yeah.
Well, because we looked up the stats for it, and it's interesting because so right now I'm 28. I'll be turning 29 this year, and we looked up, me and my buddy, and it's like he's half Asian, so we also looked into his kind of market of like, as far as like Asian males, like what their average salary could be, and then like white males, what their average salary should be at this age. And what we're seeing is like, for a white male that is in their late 20s, so like 28, 29, 30, or before 30, is they are saying their average should be anywhere between like 50K to 70K. It's like it's a wide net.
Yeah, it's a pretty wide.
But you get it from different sources, but it's almost like the main around 62, 63 is like the main average, but then you get all these sources where it's like, high 50s to like low 70s, like severely low 70s. And it's like, that's what they're saying. That's the net, but then the average is like around 62, 63K a year for a white male, like in their late 20s. And then for someone that is of Asian descent, culture, whatever, they're saying that they're around like the low 70 mark, like 71, 72, because it's like like as far as culturally, when you have, parents that come overseas, to escape whatever oppression or escape their country, like especially like China, North Korea, stuff like that.
I mean, sometimes they're not escaping; they're just coming.
They're just coming for to live because America's so great.
Coming to hang out.
Yeah. But no, like, because they push their kids to become like doctors, lawyers, like all the high end stuff. So it's like their averages is much higher.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you see things skew kind of in that direction. Yeah, the cultural component to it, and no, it's like, but like you think about it, like the people that possess all three of those qualities. You got to think of like the fraction of percent of the population. It's just like guys that are over 6 foot that are making over six figures that have like giant penis. Ladies,
hey ladies,
like you're limiting yourself to like probably a really small percentage of guys. Probably, honestly,
ladies, this is not 6 inches.
They probably get all of the women too, so because that's what everyone's going for.
Well, have you?
I mean? So if you're all reaching for the same thing, you're just spoiling like 3 dudes.
yeah, the top billionaires of the world.
No,
have you seen that delusion calculator?
The delusion calculator.
Have you not heard of the female delusion calculator?
Oh God.
It is so it's hilarious to me, and I don't know how accurate it is. I feel like it's a very exaggerated thing.
Sounds like something,
because basically it's like what they do is like I've seen TikToks on like people doing interviews with women on college campuses, stuff like that, where it's like, hey, what's your desired height, race, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I've seen tons of the rage bait stuff where it's just like the bunch of dumb girls in a room where a guy's asking them just like, so what would you rate yourself?
Yeah, and then all of them are 10s.
They're all just like, I'm a 10. And it's just like, well, you pulled the most vacuous bitches off the street. Of course they're going to say shit like that. Why don't you like put... Then they bring in... But then like the other side of it is they bring in like fucking like Pearl Davis or like these bitches that are just like, women shouldn't vote. And it's just like, okay, can we get a balance here of like,
Because don't get me wrong, Pearl is an interesting character, because like I like some of the perspectives that she puts on like dating culture, but I feel like she's in a point where it's too conservative, because it's like we're in a modern day and age where it's like, sure, I don't care if you want to be woman boss, but you're gonna not be my type. I don't care if you want to be stay-at-home wife, but understand that we can't have the most luxurious life because I'm the only one working.
People are just fucking crybabies, though. You know what I mean? It's just because, like, you can't, like, I just see this all the time where people criticize what she's saying, rightly, because the last she's saying is just dumb. A lot of it, again, is rage bait, designed to get people like me talking about it or something, And again, it's really fucking pointless, because like you are trying to argue with these people. Like, yeah, it's just like, oh, what, like women, like, dude, like if we're having these conversations, like you just don't even understand the fucking philosophical premise to even have it. So it's like, we're not even gonna do it. Like, you're not even serious. You're not serious people is basically what it is. It's like, because there's actually people thinking about this stuff in fucking serious ways, like meditating on like, yeah, like how do we actually kind of like move forward in this day and age, is highly digitized age. So much stuff's coming at us. It's like you have people proposing all this shit like, oh, polyamory, ethical non-monogamy, all this stuff. And it's like, hey, like if that works for you in your context of your life, I'm not gonna fucking judge you.
Yeah,
because,
that's great. Go do someone else.
If that what keeps you and your family and your unit together. In the sense of like mentally, you all can fucking not want to kill each other, and everybody can kind of have a healthy relationship and with each other and the world. Then I don't fucking care, because that's what matters, is keeping people's minds right. Now people argue, well, like, dude, that whole thing just is unethical and like blah blah blah. I'm like, look, if it doesn't work for you, don't do it.
Yeah. Like if your wife wants to open up the relationship, your married
and
relationship at 14, go ahead and
then
leave.
Tell her that you don't want to do that. If she's like, oh, I'm going to do it anyway, it's like, then there's your communication here, your relationship's at a crossroads. Things have broken down here.
Like, do you see those Reddit stories? Like,
now that we're aware of these things, though, these potential components of relationships, like you can broach these topics early.
Yeah.
In your relationships or in your interactions with people, so you can find out, okay, yeah, where are you at on this?
Yeah, make your boundaries.
Are you going to want to fucking, go fuck somebody else in 15 years? Like,
well,
is that going to be a possibility? Now, look, it just depends on what you're looking for. Some people are like, look, I know myself. I know, like, because look, some people's brains are just fucking poisoned by the environment right now. Like it's highly digitized, like porn and all this shit. The stimulation, they're just like having one person is apparently not doing it for them. You know what I mean? So,
well, think about it in a day and age before like technology, right? Yeah, like you said, like the porn is out there. It's freely accessible for anybody that buys it. It's like
fucking pull up your phone. You can look at fucking porn if you want.
Yeah, exactly. It's free online.
Back in the day, you had to like go to a store and where there was a sketchy guy that had shit that he kept. And he
opened he opened the curtain to the back room
specifically.
Would you like to come into my Funyun Fungin?
And then it was just pictures.
Oh god,
it was just photographs.
Well, dude, imagine like back
and
in
they weren't even that crazy too. Some of them were kind of crazy. Some of the mags did get kind of crazy back in the day. I remember finding some that.
Nah, dude, imagine the primitive era where it's like you have stick figures with circles like on the cave walls,
Right, exactly.
Or clay dolls.
When Playboy was like, that was pretty classy mag. So it was like in Playboy, I don't think there was ever any like you never had any hardcore. But there were some mags like I remember seeing back in the day that were like, this is back in the day.
Yeah.
Before when you had like scrambled fucking TV like screens, like you turn it to the point.
So like all the fuzz and shit.
The fuzz and then just the Cinemax or HBO like at late at night was like the only times you could see nudity, or in movies, and then in magazines. Like and then the internet was super new then too. So it's like once we figured that out. I remember we were looking at that in like 6th grade once we figured out porn on the internet.
Dude, it's almost like you rediscover your penis when it's like fucking internet porn came out. It's like, what the
Dude, it was just all of a sudden it was just crazy. Just the amount of shit like that you could find then, and then but like it just the thing is though, it's just that's the point though. It's just like now it's become so widespread and so accessible. Like back then at least it was like we're shoving this kind of depraved part of ourselves. We're gonna keep this over in the corner of the door. Keep it out of sight.
Well, yeah, because it's more or less like
now it's just like everywhere. It's just you can't escape it. I don't know how you raise a kid these days because I feel like everywhere you look on TV, they're just shaking their asses everywhere.
Dude, exactly.
But really though, there is like, what am I gonna like? That whole thing is like, how do I explain to my kid? I'm just like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. You just got to tell your kid, like, the world's fucked up.
I mean, because when you look at it, like, back in the day, right, you had religion to keep things in order. If you kind of went against that to a certain degree, it's like you were more or less shamed or, like, witch hunted, stuff like that. Or maybe not witch hunted.
Well, here's what's interesting is what's interesting is you bring this up is because there's two types of culture. It does in a way, but, like, and this is interesting about Christianity and Western culture is what's generally called a guilt culture, which is because we have within the religion the guilt, you feel the personal guilt for the things that you do wrong. You know what I mean? We're taught to do that, right? Have a personal conscience. First is shame cultures, which is a lot of Eastern cultures are kind of centered around this, where it's very much the group against the individual. You know what I mean? It's not where here it's very much individual driven, right? Our individual conscience guides us in making good decisions. And if we don't make a good decision, we should fucking feel bad about it. We should feel guilty about that. Right?
Yeah.
Right? That's a Western thing. Like Eastern is very much driven by shame and very much the nail that sticks out gets hammered down sort of mentality where it's like, if you do something wrong, the shame of everybody else is what corrects your behavior, not your internal, guilt. That's not what drives the change.
Yeah.
It's the external pressure.
Peer pressure.
And we definitely have shame, and we use that here too. You see it being employed in lots of ways, but we're mainly developed as a guilt culture, whereas we have internal conscience and guilt. Not saying that people in Asia don't have a conscience, but
they're not people. No,
but
no.
That what the thing is like that our conscience is supposed to individually drive us and guide us more so in our culture than in their culture where it's very much less individualistic.
Yeah.
In some Asian cultures. I won't say all of them because obviously they're not all the same, but obviously Chinese culture is very much like that.
Yeah.
But we've been going for about an hour 15 here. It's been a great episode
fuck.
And it's gone by. I'm going to wrap it up, though, because, it's about 9:30. So, do it again sometime, though, hopefully.
Hopefully, as long as you, accept me for who I am.
Well, if we get another person in, we're supposed to have Sosa
I
fucking
know.
canceled on us.
So if you ever watch this, fuck you in particular.
So you're a bitch.
You didn't come when I came.
I'm just kidding.
I love you, Sosa. I'll see you. Yeah, I love you.
I didn't mean that at all.
I'm sorry.
Please come.
Yeah, please come. Please come.
Please come sometime. Miss you. All right. So I'm going to do my little spiel at the end of the episode where I just be like, hey, you liked it. Go give me 5 stars on iTunes. Or leave a review. God. Go leave a comment on YouTube. Tell me how much we suck or what you don't like about it. Cyberbully me. Make my mental health decline until I inevitably fall into a death spiral of depression and cynicism.
Yeah.
Until I break and you never hear from me again.
He's a masochistic SOB.
Put me underground.
Damn, you fucking edgy teen lord.
It's real cool for a guy in his 30s to be that way, right?
Yeah, I know. It's just like, oh, I'm so dark and edgy.
So dark and edgy.
Rate me 1 star on Yelp. I fucking dare you.
It's shit. No. No. I got some new stuff coming though. I got some music I'm working on. I've been getting back into it. Get back on the kit. So yeah. Hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.
Later.